Ooh, fancy. All right, different retirement accounts available. So I'm gonna go with different, like I guess you could call them the three main types, or the two main types. I mean, and the differences between the two, or there are in the two. Um, First one is 401k. So 401k is offered through your employer. Not all employers offer this. Usually, whenever they do have some spare money in order to help out their employees, they will do something like this. And there's two different types. Usually, you're offered traditional, but there's also something that's called a Roth 401k that's also available. As you can read off the bullet points for the traditional, you know, some companies will match this contribution. So some from my company that I work at, they have a 401k. Basically, they match up to 6%. So 6% of your check you could put into this account, and they'll match that. And basically, so it's 12% total that of your check that you're actually putting into this retirement account. And again, this is managed by someone else, so they'll. Damn, I don't know why I'm burping so damn much. God damn. Excuse my language. Oh no. Right. If you couldn't tell already, I kind of curse a lot, and I'm gonna continue to. I really don't give a fuck. So if you don't fuck with it, I'm sorry. But yeah, you can keep doing this, and since it is this money is pre-taxed, so it's tax deferred basically. So you save now, so you put in the money before you pay taxes, and whenever you get it out, that's whenever you do pay taxes at whatever tax rate it is later on in the future. And I could be wrong on this, don't quote me, but I, in my opinion, you're gonna get you benefit in a way of this because if I don't know if you noticed, but inflation happens, so over time the tax brackets are gonna get higher and higher. So even though you are taking out a certain amount of money, more than likely you're either going to drop a bracket or something's going to happen. So it could work in your favor, but we don't know what the future's going to hold. They might increase tax rates and stuff like that. So who knows? You're usually limited on this shit because your employer has a specific company they have like contracts with, so they won't be able to offer you a whole variety. Some do, but usually it's just one plan. Maximum contributions before you retire is 19K a year before 50, and 26K after 50. Like I mentioned before, they match up to a certain percentage if they do offer that, and you go continue to add up after that up until 19K if you're before 50, or 26K after 50. But at the end of the day, they're gonna match only to that certain percentage. And if you take out money before your retirement age, which at the moment is 59 and a half, then they're gonna penalize you for that, and also tax you for that because it's before taxes. As for the Roth 401k, it's basically the same thing as other stuff. The only thing that's different is that since it's a Roth, your contributions go after you're taxed. So after Uncle Sam takes his cut of your money, then you can put that into the 401k, and from there it'll accumulate over time. And the thing is that whenever you pull it out, you won't be taxed on it. The thing is that's tricky about this one is if your company does offer contributions, the contributions they put into it, that's going to be pre-tax money. So it's kind of their contributions are going to be traditional, but your contributions are going to be Roth. So at the end of the day, you're going to have like half of your account is going to be before, after taxes, and half your account is going to be before taxes. Um, so what happens at the end of the day is that I'm pretty sure since the government always takes advantage of people or takes advantage of these loopholes, I guess you'd say, they're probably more than likely going to charge you taxes on the money that your company contributed first, just because they make money off of that, and then after that it's going to be the Roth. The biggest advantage of the 401ks is that they're matched, so it's basically free money from your employer. And the thing is that over time, these gains that you might get on your account are going to outweigh the taxes that you'll pay in the future. So sometimes they actually might be better than a Roth. An IRA, because at the end of the day, a Roth IRA is specific because I'll talk about that one later. Why that one's, in my opinion, one of the better ones. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Again, your Roth has advantage over the traditional because half the gains are going to be not taxed once you pull it out. So if you pull out gain week, this is definitely going to help. The next one we're going to talk about is IRAs. IRAs, you open these specifically up with a company of your choosing because this is like self-done. So you could shop around. That's one of the advantages of this. You can shop around. You can see which ones have different risk levels, something that meets your needs. Or maybe even if you know a little bit about investing, if you continue on this page, you'll figure out a little bit more. You can see what type of stuff they're into. So you might prefer technology, you might prefer commodities, you might prefer different other stuff, and you can find specific IRAs that trade that type of stuff. Not only that, but different risk levels, and also, like I mentioned earlier, I think 2, 3 videos ago, the first video, the intro to the game, basically, if they run your stuff for you, they're gonna take a cut because obviously at the end of the day, they're doing this for you. You're not doing it for yourself. So in order for them to make money off of you, they're gonna take a cut from that. Um, Again, this one's tax deferred, so you save now and you pay the taxes later whenever you start taking stuff out. The maximum contribution for this one though is 6K before 50 and 7K after 50. So if you do have extra money after contributing to your 401k, you could open a traditional IRA. So don't feel limited because you can have more than one. Uh, the Roth version of the IRA has the most advantages in my opinion. It might not be best for everybody, but in my opinion, it does have some good benefits. One is obviously, like I mentioned beforehand, this is not tax deferred. So you contribute money that's already been taxed. At the end of the day, when you do take out funds, none of it's going to be taxable from the government. And what's kind of helps because no one's matching this, so all your contributions from yourself, which only you could provide contributions to it, are going to be tax deferred. I mean, tax deferred later on, basically, because you're already taxed as it is. You could take out your contributions actually without being penalized. So all the money that you put into it, you could take out of it. So at the end of the day, if you put, let's say, 5,000 in this year, because your max is 6,000, you could take that 5,000 right back out, no penalty, no questions asked, no nothing. That's good because it's kind of like an emergency. It's like a savings essentially. I mean, if your count goes down negative, then obviously there's not going to be as much money as you put in there. But at the end of the day, you could take out whatever you put in. Also, there's specific scenarios in which you could take out money before the retirement age. Actually, let me look at those up real quick because I actually made 2 separate slides. Oops, let me close that one. Roth IRAs, where is it at? Okay, these are the qualifying stuff that you could get. Go ahead and put this into the slideshow mode. So for your first home purchase, you can actually use up to $10,000 of your Roth in order to apply to this. So again, it's kind of like a savings, but it occurs more interest than your actual savings account, which is pretty much shit. I don't know if you looked at your savings, how much you get, but it's like 0.01% or something like that. Qualified education expenses. So if you were to go to college, I'm pretty sure it's for people who are going for the first time. So it wouldn't benefit those who are going back. Qualified expenses related to birth or adoption. So you could use that towards that as well, again. And also for medical expenses or health insurance if you are unemployed. So those specific scenarios definitely do help people in certain scenarios. So that might be something that would interest you or could help you out. Income limitations for this one, you can only make up to $136,000 if you're single and $206,000 if you're married, like if you file jointly. That's the only limitation, and if the government is limiting you on something, that's probably a good thing, unless it's drugs, of course. But yeah, it just shows that it could definitely be a powerful tool. The biggest advantage to IRAs is the freedom to choose where you want to open an account, who you want to open an account with, because you could shop around, not being limited like your 401k with your employer. But as you can see, the Roth has the upper hand as there's more benefits when it comes to like what you could use it for, as well as being able to take like contributions penalty free. The next one is a SEP IRA. This one it says it right there. It's for self-employed persons. Strictly for those who are self-employed. You could put up to 50K or 25% of your income for the year. The thing is that they're gonna take whichever one's less. So if you're 25% is more than 57K, they're gonna only allow you only to do the 25%, and the opposite is true. Everything else is the same as the traditional IRA. Things to keep in mind: if you switch retirement accounts, you do something called a rollover. So if you're moving from one employer to another employer, the people who run their accounts are different. Like one's Fidelity, the other one's, I don't know, another company that offers 401ks. You could just roll that over to the other one. No problems, no hassles. You just need to offer some personal information and like authorize the transfer basically. Switching companies from your IRA to your IRA, again, you could do the same thing. Switching from one traditional IRA to another traditional IRA because you found one that works better for you, the lower fees or maybe even riskier or less riskier, you could do that too. But if you're going from a traditional account to a Roth account, be mindful of that you're going to have to pay taxes on that because again, there's contributions for a traditional and before they're actually taxed, and Roth is after tax money. So they're not going to let you gain on all the stuff that you're supposed to have paid taxes for, which is something I did this year. I have to provide documentation for that on my what is it called? Taxes. There you go. Different aspects of accounts. So you could trade or manage your own IRA in a brokerage. That's like I mentioned in the goals video. That's what I eventually want to be able to do for myself. I want to be able to manage my own because at the end of the day, I have my own self interest at mind. I don't have to pay a fee to nobody because I'm managing my own. And yeah, that's why I want to do it. Also, you can have different types of accounts, so don't feel limited. You can literally have a 401k, you can literally have a traditional IRA, and a Roth IRA. So you literally don't have to feel limited. You can have a combination of each one. Um, it just makes more sense to have it in one, if that makes sense, because your funds will compound more over time. So even if they all have like, I don't know, let's say like a 7% rate for them, or like one has a 6, one has a 7, one has an 8. It's better just to put it all at the 8% because at the end of the day, it's going to compound faster and get you some more money for retirement. But again, if you max out one of them, you can max out the next one, then roll over to the next one. That's it really for the retirement accounts. I forgot to update this slide. But you could, these are basically the main two type of accounts, retirement accounts that I know of. The next video, we're not going to be looking into more Roth IRA stuff because I look, the only thing different was basically telling you about the qualified stuff, the qualifications that you could use the IRA for. The next video, we're going to be talking about shares and ETFs and how you could use that as a long-term investing strategy. So, without further ado, let's go get to that shit, boy.